Coming up on the Raiders Report, my top 10 players I am the most excited to watch at Raiders training camp, and we're only going to be talking about the veterans, but I wouldn't be able to do today's show if it wasn't for our awesome sponsor, Manscaped. Use code Raiders to save 20% off at manscaped.com. That link's going to be available for you guys down in the comments and in the description of today's show. So if you're ready for actual Raiders football, because when I think of Raiders training camp, I don't know about you, Chugs, I think of real life football, right? Like the NFL draft, love it. Free agency, I love it. And then there's May. Then there's June. And now we're in July. It's a lot of slow timing. But when training camp comes around, dude, that to me is that first initial, holy shit, football is just about back. Now, before I get into my top 10 players here that I am the most excited to watch, which player are you? Yeah, I'm talking to you, JJ fan, Roblox Damien. Shout out to Caleb. Shout out to Martin. Which player are you most excited to watch during Raiders training camp? Cass Joey, I see what you just did there. We'll get to it after this cut here. So coming up, I'm going to be ranking my players from 10 all the way down to 1 in terms of who I'm the most excited to watch. Let's go to number 10 here. It's Tre'von Moehrig, playing free safety. And the reason why I'm excited to see him, it's his second year in the Patrick Graham system. And I want to see how exactly he's fitting in this system. Where are they putting him, Marcus Epps, and where are they putting the rookie out of Georgia, Christopher Smith, all over the football field? On top of that, when the Raiders drafted Moehrig in the second round back in 2021, he was somebody who I thought deserved to go in the first round. And then he had a great rookie season, struggled in his sophomore year, which I can understand considering the fact that the Graham system is a little bit more complex than the Gus Bradley system. But now it's year 3. He's had to learn. I've talked to some good sources close to me that say, hey, he's going to have his season. And when you look at the numbers from a statistical standpoint, the quarterback rating is what I really look at. The PFF grades here also show that as a rookie, he has the ability to be a special player. And I really, truly hope that he shows the versatility that he showed me on tape. Now, he's going to be able to insert himself, giggity, into the starting defensive lineup, and he's going to get plenty of opportunities. But if he struggles, the Raiders will look to Chris Smith because they have a lot of confidence in him. And for that reason, he's number 10 here on my list. Let's go to number 9. Coming up here, it's Davante Deablo. And if you're watching this live, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to see any rookies. I already have a rookie show out, which we'll talk about here in a second. But Davante Deablo, a lot of the reasons why I just mentioned here with Tre'von Moehrig, same thing here with Davante Deablo. It's year 3. Both players extremely talented, but it's about putting it together on the football field. From a PFF standpoint, last season, an overall grade of 58.4. Davante has shown that he is a solid run stopper, but can he take it to the next level? Finding a coverage linebacker in today's league, it's not an easy thing considering the fact of how talented a lot of wide receivers, tight ends, running backs are coming out of the backfield. So to me, if Deablo wants to take that next step, Big Swole needs to show that he can cover. His coverage stats from last season, he allowed a completion percentage of 83.3%, 3 touchdowns, but it's that quarterback rating, man, like 123.6. The Raiders need to be able to rely on Deablo in the middle of the field, especially in this division. At number 8, I'm going to throw in here Neil Farrell Jr., and this is more from a Raiders need to win in the trenches standpoint. How many years have we been talking about how bad, and it's not only like, I'm not talking like mediocre, I'm talking bad, the Raiders' defensive line has been. And this regime drafted the LSU product to be that filler, to be that big body in the middle of the field. I was told one of the biggest reasons why they traded away Jonathan Hankins to the Dallas Cowboys was because they thought Neil Farrell Jr. could be that Hankins replacement. They need a run stopper. They need somebody that's going to be able to take on double teams, to free up Tyree Wilson, to free up Chandler Jones, to free up Maxx Crosby. And all the reports that I have heard, all the people that I have talked to have told me that the light bulb is turned on for Neil Farrell. Well, here's the time to put up and shut up. Practice the way you play. And that's something that I'm going to be looking for here for Neil Farrell Jr. Now, if you're a diehard Raiders fan, if you bleed silver and black, and every day there's at least, and when I say every day, I'm not saying it's first thing when you wake up. Maybe it's your lunch break. Maybe it's dinner. Maybe it's while you're sitting down dropping a number 2. But there's a point in every single person's day that's a real one where they think about the Raiders. I want to be your one-stop shop. I want to be the person that you come to for information, whether it's news, whether it's rumors, whether it's a Madden watch party, whether it's just crazy information. I got you covered. Hit that subscribe button. It's 100% for free. And if you don't like what you see after a week, unsub. Though, I think you're going to enjoy what we have here. It's the reason why we have over 138,000 subs. Let's go to number 7 here on the list of our Raiders to watch during training camp. I'm going to go Duke Shelley. And if there was a player that, man, I am so excited to see what he is able to do on the field, it's Shelley. Because I watched him last season, and I got some good friends in the Minnesota area. I got a few really good connections with the Minnesota Vikings, and they flat out told me, Duke Shelley is going to be the difference maker on your defense. When you look at the numbers against him last year, he was targeted 41 times, gave up 20 catches, 249 yards allowed, a pick, and 10 pass breakups. But it's the PFF grades. There was a lot of different cornerbacks that got significant playing time last year. Shelley was top 10 in a lot of categories. Do I really care if he was good against the run? Not really. Do I care if he's all that great against, I don't know, the pass rush, being able to tackle? No, not really. From a coverage standpoint, though, that's what I look for. When I look at my cornerbacks, press man, Duke Shelley was a top 5 cornerback just about by every single metric last season in man coverage. And here's the funny part. The Raiders are going to play press man coverage, which is what fits Shelley's ability. So if he can take that next step, if he can play the way that he has, the Raiders are going to be a top 20 defense. Mark my words. If Duke Shelley plays the way that he did last season over the back half of the year, the Raiders will have, and I mean this, a top 20 defense. Let's go to number 6 here. It's Jakobi Meyers. And the reason why I'm watching Meyers closely is more to see how the Raiders are going to use him and Hunter Renfrow. We know that Davante Adams is going to be that number 1 receiver. And a lot of times when people talk about number 1 receivers, there's always, sometimes people mention 1A, 1B. When it comes to the Raiders, you have Davante. He's number 1. When it comes to Jakobi Meyers and Hunter Renfrow, I'll make the example that you got a 2A and a 2B. Both of these receivers play in the slot, and both of these players will play in the slot this upcoming season. But for Meyers, coming off a season back in 2021 where he was with McDaniels, he had 83 grabs, 866 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He is a big slot receiver, which is going to fit great with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's going to fit great with Aiden O'Connell. Whoever is the quarterback in McDaniel's system, there's a reason why they went out and they got Meyers on a 3-year deal at $33 million, because they know that he has the value, that they know that he can be successful in this offense. Now, before I show you my final 5 players here, huge shout out to today's sponsor, Manscaped. And I mean, I Manscaped, Chugs Manscapes. I see Graphic Raider in the chat right now. He's got twin boys, and he's really shooting out of his league. Shout out to Tiff. And if you want to also shoot out of your league, go get your hands on some awesome Manscaped gear. Use code Raiders for 20% off at manscaped.com. I personally love the Lawnmower 4.0. I think it's an amazing tool that you can use on your downstairs, and I think it's great because it's water resistant. Alex gets so mad at me. I remember when we first started dating, and I'd use the cheap old razors that you'd find at Walmart, and I'd be shaving my set over the toilet, and of course, there's going to be hairs all over the place. Now, I'm not going to worry about that. Why? I hop in the shower, I take my Manscaped products in there, the Lawnmower 4.0, and I can trim it up, and then it gets washed down. I don't got to hear anything from Alex, and she's happy at the end of the day, or at least once a week at this point. We are engaged after all. If you also want to get your hands on some ball toner, some ball deodorant, the most comfortable boxers out there, Manscaped is here to hook you guys up. The reason why that this company has been a sponsor on the Raiders Report is because the nation loves it. It's a really good brand, and their products work, and they help you out in the long run. What do I mean by the long run? Dating is tough. Chugs is engaged. I'm engaged. And I'm going to put a lot of credit into that into Manscaped. So go to manscaped.com. Use code Raiders for 20% off. Chugs has got something to say.
All I got to say, both of us not engaged before we use Manscaped.
Facts.
That's a fact.
Facts. And now, both of us are engaged. All I'm going to say is this. Manscaped, they're helping us out. Let's go to number 5 here on my list of Raiders to watch at training camp. It's Bilal Nichols. And one of the reasons that I mentioned Farrell Jr., same thing here that I'm going to bring up with Nichols, is this Raiders defensive tackle room needs to produce. Point blank simple. You could talk about linebackers. You could talk about cornerbacks. You could talk about safeties. But the NFL is won in the trenches. And if the Raiders are able to play at an average level in the trenches, that helps out Crosby. That helps out Tyree Wilson. That's going to help out Chandler Jones. And it's going to help out all of your edge rushers to be able to get after the cornerback. And the Raiders paid Bilal Nichols last offseason 2 years, $9 million. He is expected to be the number 1 defensive tackle on this team. However, he struggled with some injuries last season, which definitely show in some of his PFF grades. There's no doubt about that. And he had a torn meniscus, which he suffered in the middle of June of last offseason. And he really didn't get it ramped up to feeling back to the way that he normally feels until probably middle of June, is how I would say it. And when you look at a lot of the numbers from Bilal, I know that he can be a talented player. This coaching staff knows that he can be a talented player. And from weeks 1 to 10 compared to weeks 11 to 18, the numbers are just much, much different. And the tape is even more different. The hardest part about being defensive tackle is you're not always going to put up substantial numbers. That's not what it's about. To me, a good defensive tackle kind of does the dirty work. You're going to be in the trenches. You're going to take on the double team. You free up the edge rushers, and that's really what helps out your defense. So for that reason, I want to see Bilal Nichols take that next step. Coming up here at number 4, it's Chandler Jones. Jones was one of the most underwhelming players in the entire NFL last season. He signed a 3-year, $54 million deal, and he was expected to put up double-digit sacks. We all expected it. But the biggest reason why Jones is on this list, and it's honestly, man, not as much even because of Jones. I want to see how Patrick Graham, I want to see how this Raiders defense, I want to see how this entire coaching staff uses Jones and Tyree Wilson on the field at the exact same time. How are they using them? And we might not even get to see Jones because he's recovering from an injury. We might not even get to see Tyree Wilson because he's recovering from an injury. He's right now on the NFI list. But one thing that I will 100% be looking at, because when you draft a player at number 7 overall, that should be the indicator to Jones, and it was because he restructured his contract that, hey, man, what you did last season and what we're paying you, I'm sorry, it's simply not cutting it. So for Chandler to be able to show this Raiders organization that he's worth it, I'm watching. For Tyree Wilson to be able to show that he's worth that top 7 pick, I'm going to be watching. We know what Maxx Crosby can do. Adam Plant Jr. has been working his freaking butt off. Jordan Willis missed a ton of time during minicamp and OTAs. But for this Raiders defense to really, truly live up to its full expectations, Chandler Jones needs to play solid football. Now, before I show you guys my top 3 players I'm going to be watching at Raiders training camp, and the only people that I'm talking about in this video are the veterans. If you want to see what I rank the UDFAs and the rookies, well, hey, we also put this video out a few days ago. You can hit that subscribe button. You can turn on those notifications. That way you don't ever miss anything. This is the thumbnail, 2-hour video. So if you want to see how I rank every single Raiders rookie in UDFA in terms of which guys I'm the most excited to see at training camp, this is the video, and you can go check it out. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm cheating here a little bit. I'm going to go with the right guard battle because the amount of offensive linemen that I could feature in this video, it's outstanding. It's just the cold, hard facts. I'm going to be looking at Greg Van Roten. I'm going to be looking at Netane Moody. I'm going to be looking at Alex Bars. I'm going to be looking at McClendon Curtis. I'm going to be watching Jermaine Illuminar. Hell, I'm watching Thayer Munford. I am watching Dylan Parham, Andre James, the interior offensive line, Brandon Parker, all of them. I want to see how the Raiders' offensive line works during training camp. So I probably could have put offensive line. However, I know Colt Miller is going to be the starting left tackle. I know Dylan Parham is going to be a starting offensive player. I know Andre James, Jermaine Illuminar, all those players will start. But the right guard battle will be the top offensive line battle to watch this upcoming season for the Silver and Black. Let's go to number 2 here, and it's Zamir White. I can't wait to see what Zamir White does. I hope he looks fresh. All reports are that he's in the best shape of life season. Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, they want Zamir to be the running back of next year. They did not plan, and they do not want him to be the bell cow for this upcoming season. He's going to get more work. I promise you this. White will get 100 touches this upcoming season. Mark my words. Remember this right now. Zamir White's going to get 100 touches, whatever happens with Josh Jacobs. But the biggest reason why Zamir White is on this list, it's not because of Zamir. It's because of Jacobs. And it's because that right now he is yet to sign his franchise tag. There are rumors around him potentially holding out, and he could potentially hold out. I don't think it's a smart business move for him. He's going to lose more money, and it's only going to hurt his career and his pockets in the long run. And if I was a part of Jacobs' agency, I would say, you know what? Sometimes you got to realize it's not you, it's the market. And that's what Jacobs here needs to realize. It's not that the NFL doesn't value him. It's not that the Raiders don't think that he's talented. It's just that right now the running back market, it's not nearly as valuable. But if Zamir White looks good, that's going to put a little bit more pressure on Josh Jacobs to make sure that he shows up week 1, ready to go. But the number 1 player, Jimmy Garoppolo. He plays quarterback. That's why he's number 1. When you move on from Derek Carr, you better have somebody to be able to step up and go right away. I know a lot of the fan base wants to see Aiden O'Connell. Right now, there's been some rumors circulating that Jimmy G could potentially end up on the PUP list to start, which I got a video out already on the channel. Don't overly panic on it. However, with the way his contract is structured, and if he is unable to play week 1, the Raiders can get out of his entire deal. They can get out of over $70 million for Jimmy G for 3 years. And you're not going to see him probably early on. I don't anticipate that. However, if he is out there on the field, I'm watching every single thing that I can on Garoppolo, because if this team does truly believe that they are a playoff caliber team, and I don't know what to think about them. I don't. I can sit here and say that they could be a bottom 5 team. I can sit up here and say that they have playoff potential. But when it comes to Garoppolo, when it comes to executing this offense and really truly understanding the McDaniels system, we need to be able to figure out if this is the quarterback for us or not. And this regime in Ziegler and McDaniels are betting a lot in Jimmy G. You're not going to see Brian Hoyer. I don't really want to see Aiden O'Connell early on. Don't get me wrong. I want to see what he can do for the long term. But for this upcoming season, it's the Jimmy G show. And when he's out there on the field, that's where my attention is going to be. So how about this? We already went through our top 10. Besides the rookies, because I already told you, no rookies on the show. I already made a video about the rookies. Who did I leave off my list? Who is somebody that you're like, Mitch, you're sleeping on that guy. He deserves to be on your list. I can't wait to see what you have to say. In terms of some of my honorable mentions, guess what? If Marcus Peters signs, he's in my top 10. No doubt about it. He has a visit with the Raiders on Monday. If you've watched this show, you already know that I'm telling y'all, everybody who I talked to is saying that Peters is going to sign. We talked about it way before Rappaport and all these, in quotes, beat writers have talked about it. I'm looking at Crosby, Epps, Nate Hobbs, Isaiah Pola-Mao. What about Austin Hooper, Hunter Renfrow, Davante Adams, DeAndre Carter, and Thayer Munford? These are all honorable mentions that no doubt I will be watching very closely at Raiders training camp. So before I leave you guys today, here are my top 10 Raiders to watch at training camp. If you want to take a screenshot and post this on Twitter, if you want to post this on Instagram, hopefully y'all know where to find me. I am at Mitchell Renz 365, IG, Twitter. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Can't wait for Raiders training camp to start. And we're going to be keeping you guys updated on all the news, rumors around Raiders training camp.